Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. President Tinubu arrives France, receives detailed briefs from Nigerian officials on country's position on the Global Financing Pact Summit, to also attend sideline meetings with leaders and multilateral institutions. Benue State Governor alleges 2023 budget signed by his predecessor is unrealistic. Welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. We start at the Presidential Election Petition Court, which is hearing the petition filed by the Allied People's Movement, APM, challenging February the 25th election victory of President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima of the All Progressives Congress. At the last hearing Monday, the party had asked for a week's adjournment, which was turned down by the court. The party had applied to the court for a day to commence hearing of its petition against the result of the presidential election, which had earlier been delayed over their inability to obtain a Supreme Court judgment, which had dismissed the PDP suit which sought to nullify the president's election based on allegations of double nomination against Vice President Kashim Shettima. The party claims the ruling is necessary for them to make progress in their case because it had far-reaching pronouncements which are relevant to certain core issues of dispute. The APM is expected to open and close its case today by calling a witness. And when that time came, the APM sole witness, Aisha Abubakar, says she's the assistant welfare officer of the party and also a politician. Under cross-examination, she admitted that she wasn't privy to when INEC got the notice of substitution for Benue Central Senatorial for the APC. She adds that she's aware of the Supreme Court judgment delivered on May the 26th that dismissed the PDP suit on allegations of double nomination against Kashim Shettima and was made to read some of the sections of the judgment. She also admits that Kabiru Masari did not contest the presidential election but was a placeholder. The Allied People's Movement objected to the admissibility of the judgment, stating that the reasons will be given at a later date. However, the court admitted the judgment as evidence. We'll have more from the tribunal and bring you the latest.
Is it that clear?
To other stories now. The president arrived France yesterday, where he'll be taking part in the Global Financing Pact Summit convened by President Emmanuel Macron. It's a two-day summit on June the 22nd and 23rd that places vulnerable countries on priority lists for support and also investment. President Tinubu was received at the airport by Ambassador Kaide Laro and other top government officials from the Nigerian Embassy and the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But today, he will receive detailed briefs from Ambassador Laro, Permanent Secretary Adamu Lamua, and other officials on Nigeria's position on the summit, and also scheduled sideline meetings with leaders and multilateral institutions. The President's Special Advisor, Special Duties, Communication and Strategy, Dele Alake, explains that the President will discuss opportunities to restore fiscal space to countries that face difficult short-term financial challenges, especially the most indebted. And the President's expected back in the country on June the 24th. That's on Saturday. Security operatives have been urged to be professional in handling security challenges by intensifying intelligence network to identify and also apprehend perpetrators of heinous acts in society. And this is a charge of the Governor of Plateau State to the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 4 during a courtesy visit to the Governor at the Government House, Little Rayfield, Jos. The Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 4, in charge of Benue, Nasarawa and Plateau State, Mr. Musa Haladu, is on an assessment visit to the Police Command, where he meets with the Commissioner of Police and officers in a closed-door session. Then the police boss proceeds to the Government House alongside the State Commissioner of Police, where the Governor is briefed on the reasons for the team's visit.
What is happening almost is very close from what is happening in Benue. And your nearness and the old history that you have stayed with Fulanis. So now is the original people of that area that is having this fight. They cannot leave that place. And Fulanis being what they are. And by the constitution, if you are Nigerian, you can live anywhere. So in that case, how are we going to do? We have to think outside the box.
With the incessant attacks in the past 1 month, some communities of Bakin-Ladi, Mangu, Riom local government areas are devastated. The governor wants security operatives to intensify efforts towards apprehending the criminals.
Some of the attacks we have seen in recent times are certainly not people that live within the borders of Plateau. And the question we keep asking, who called them into Plateau? Who sponsored them into Plateau? Who gave them direction into Plateau? This is what we appeal to the security agencies to help us to fish out. Because we cannot continue to fight unknown gunmen when actually those gunmen are seen with physical eyes. And therefore we want to appeal to the security agencies led by the police to intensify their intelligence network in fishing out these merchants of crisis so that we can actually make them to face the wrath of the law.
With efforts underway to return displaced persons of Plateau to their abodes with adequate security measures in place, the police is assuring the people that the perpetrators will soon be apprehended and prosecuted. So let's discuss security now. And following the recent second appointments made by President Tinubu before he left for France concerning the armed forces, the Nigerian police and the customs, there are reports that perhaps about 100 top officers, including generals, brigadier generals, air vice marshals, admirals, may proceed on compulsory retirements. Well, aside from the imminent goal of retirement, many officers will be promoted to their next rank, and this is to fill the vacancies that will be created by the retiring generals as part of the reorganization of the services by the new chiefs. Well, joining me to talk more about this is Professor of Peace and Security and Humanitarian Studies, University of Ibadan, currently visiting scholar at the Leadership Development Institute, Nigerian Army Resource Center, Abuja, Tajuddin Akanji. He joins me on the program from Kano. Prof, welcome to Lunchtime Politics.
Thank you for having me.
First, I'd like to get your impression of the change at the level, talking about the service chiefs in Nigeria police, and what it means in our fight to secure the nation.
Well, the changes that we have is not something that is new or unexpected of a new government. If you are following the current president in his campaign, he had promised most of the time that security was going to be at the center stage of his activities, because realizing that one of the greatest challenges that is bedeviling this country today is the issue of internal security that has affected our reputation both at home and overseas. And that was why I remembered that looking at some of the campaign issues that were raised by the current government, he was talking about a 7-point agenda, and he said one of the things he would do was to bolster the security forces, and particularly restructuring reactivating the police system. So when I saw that the new government came into power, we were all expecting that it's going to at least show the citizens that there's a new sheriff in town. And I think that was what informed the new appointments.
And Prof, on internal security, the new IGP seems to be talking tough. He says he feels like a tiger ready to chase away criminals. How significant is the use of such strong language, some would call it? Does it convey to you his approach to tackling crime?
Yeah, you see, I was just listening to a news item this morning when President Trump was saying that people should vote for him so that they will come in to end the Ukrainian war in 24 hours. When you see things that people are coming in to start a particular new project, judging from the fact that the nature of our attacks have changed, judging from the fact that the kinds of things that we see happening around us now constitute hate crimes that we have never witnessed before, you will expect anyone who is coming to lead either the police force or the armed forces to say things that is going to instill fear in the minds of the criminals who are in our midst. They are among us. I'm sure that the expression by the new IGP will be addressing the issue of the criminals and those who actually his office is being established to actually pursue. I'm not sure that he's talking about addressing the issues that affect his colleagues. But even if he said so, you will see that even amongst that, there have been accusations of corruption in the security forces and all those things. So when I look at it, I had I said, it feels like a lion inside him to pursue all the enemies of the nation, that it feels like a tiger to run after all criminals within the nation. He actually wants to show that as somebody who is coming and also looking at the body language of the president who has appointed him in power, that the president this time is showing seriousness, especially in addressing the issue of insecurity. Because we know that once you address the issue of insecurity, all other things will start to fall in place. Economic development, so many other things that we see. So I think the IGP is trying to act like the kind of initial discussion you would have had with the person that appointed him.
And Professor Kanje, we're hearing reports that, perhaps as much as 100 top officers, including generals, brigadier generals, admirals, may proceed on compulsory retirement as a result of this. Do you think that the government weighed this when it made its decision? Do you see a backlash as a result of this, or is there some deliberate tactic to this?
Yeah, you see, what is happening is not something that is new to the army. I've been working with the army for more than 30 years now. In fact, my PhD thesis was written on training in the armed forces, and we have seen that the army has a kind of reputation and a hierarchy. The person who has been appointed now is a 39th course, and what that implies is that most of the other people who have left the academy before him I find it very difficult to be able to operate with him, judging from the ethics and all these things of the Nigerian Armed Forces. They are going to be thinking of leaving the service voluntarily, not compulsorily. I think it's important for us to take note of this. It's not that the army will just retire those that are just there, brigadier generals and all. No, that's not it. It depends on what the policy of the new sheriff is going to be, the chief of army staff. Coincidentally, I happen to have had initial contact with this man sometimes around February when he was just leaving one day as the GOC. And I saw that most of the people around that place were talking so well about the brilliance of the new chief of army staff. So he has to decide on the team that is going to be working with. It is not unexpected of any army from anywhere in the world, because that is the structure that the Nigerian army is premised on. So it's not that they are going to wake up tomorrow and now say that, no, all of you should go. If that is not part of his policy, because the Nigerian armed forces, like you know, have been investing so much in training and resource development of the personnel in most of the time, because training is the hallmark of military life. But those who find it difficult for them to be able to operate will voluntarily put in their paper of voluntary retirement. It's not that they are going to be forced out of the work, except you have committed a crime or things like that. They will always find a way of giving you some things to do. I'm aware that those that happened with the current chief that came, many of them were sent on leadership course and all those things. And we have a resource center, Nigerian Army Resource Center, which has a kind of space, accommodation for many of these retirees from this kind of a process, who, having spent so much time in the army, having been trained to this level, will be allowed to come as consultants at whatever level to come and give back some of the trainings which they have received from the army. So these are the things that are expected every year. The man that is there now is 39th regular course. So you will expect that those who are in the 38th regular course with the Chief of Defense Staff, or those who are in the 37th regular course, will be seeking for voluntary retirement from service. Otherwise, they will not be able to operate well, because one of the ethics and values of the Nigerian Armed Forces is respect and regard to hierarchy. So these are the kind of things that yes. Yeah.
All right, Professor, we do appreciate your time. Wish we had more to talk to you about, but thank you for sharing your expertise with us. Professor Tajuddin Akanji is a professor of peace and security humanitarian studies, University of Ibadan. Many thanks.
Okay, thank you so much.
We go on a short break. We return with more stories. Just stay with us. Welcome back, and we're off to Benue State, where the government has brushed aside the 2023 budget signed by former Governor Samuel Ortom in December 2022 for what he calls unrealistic, with figures allocated for projects which he says is below cost expectations and not with the intention to execute them. Chairman of the 2023 Budget Review Committee set up by Governor Hyacinth Alia, Mr. Andoho Jerome, disclosed this on Tuesday while presenting his report and the need to move those project items and cost to align with the blueprint of the Alia administration.
Look at the document. There are some areas whereby you see construction of maybe road, and then they will ascribe 700,000 naira there. I know it's almost infeasible for you to do a road of 700,000, and some electrical stuff that maybe has to do with maybe electrifying a village or community. You ascribe maybe 1 million or 2 million. You know, that's almost it's impossible, you know, to do that kind of jobs. So we now try to aggregate some of those line items, and then we now bucked it to areas we felt that to a large extent they might impact the Benue citizen much more better.
The Cross River State Governor, Senator Bassi Oto, is calling on all staff of the Governor's office in Calabar to cooperate with the government of the day to enable them deliver on their mandates. The Governor was speaking in his office, where he urged them to demonstrate greater commitment and also dedication for effective and efficient service delivery. According to Governor Oto, the government will play its part, and they're expecting that everyone will also contribute their quota to the development of the state. The People's Democratic Party in Imo State says there's no cause for alarm as the party still remains intact and prepared, and also is optimistic of winning the November governorship election in the state, despite the defection to the All Progressives Congress of some of the key officers of its state working committee. Addressing journalists in the state capital, the party dismissed the reasons given by the 7 officials who left the party for the APC, describing them as false.
The structure of the party is in perfect tact. The party is organized in layers. The decampment we have experienced since yesterday just happened in the state level. The other organs of the party are intact and functioning, so there is no cause for alarm. In Imo State here, I was the Deputy Director of Finance in the presidential campaign of His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Over 1.4 billion naira sent to Imo for the management of that election till date remains unaccounted for. And these are the issues the party was gearing up to investigate. Unfortunately, today, those who played major role in the management or mismanagement of these funds have left the party. But they cannot run. They cannot run. We assure you of that.
Governor Obasani of Kaduna State has called for the forging of partnership between the state government and the local governments to tackle the challenges of insecurity and other socio-economic problems bedeviling the state. He notes that effective intelligence gathering is critical in ensuring the collective success in this regard. He's urging local government chairmen to activate their structures and mechanisms for intelligence gathering and work closely with security agencies to ensure peace and security within their respective communities.
In the execution of our rural transformation drive, we shall adopt the inclusive approach where all stakeholders will be consulted and carried along. Local government chairmen are key stakeholders and will play a pivotal role in these rural revitalization efforts. Traditional rulers, youth associations, faith-based organizations, women organizations, and community development associations will be carried along in our collective drive to better the lives of our people at all the local government areas of Kaduna State. Safety and security is the major focus of our administration. We shall work closely with the local government chairmen to build trust and restore peace in our troubled communities. Effective intelligence gathering is critical in ensuring our success in this regard. I therefore urge you to activate your structures and mechanisms for intelligence gathering and work closely with the security agencies.
And sorry, just in, says the new acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has officially assumed office as the former IGP, Usman Alkali-Baba, hands over the mantle of leadership to him. The acting IGP, Egbetokun, takes over as the 22nd Inspector General of the Nigerian Police Force, looking to hit the ground running and leave no stone unturned in ensuring that Nigerians are safe and secure. And we head to Ogun State, where Governor Dapo Abiodun has demanded a sense of utmost responsibility from members of the newly inaugurated 10th State Assembly members, just as he promised an open-door policy with good governance hinged on transparency and accountability. He gave the assurance while hosting newly inaugurated 26-member House of Assembly, led by the Speaker at the Executive Council chambers in the state capital.
I do not have a doubt that this 10th Assembly will build on the foundations and the successes of the 9th Assembly, even within the ambit of the independence of legislative arm. I want to promise you and pledge that as your governor, I am the governor of all. Elections have been keenly contested, and some of us have emerged winners, others have not been so lucky, but the state remains the winner. There is no winner, there is no vanquished. We are all here to represent the good people of Ogun State. So, politics is now behind us. Campaign is now behind us. I am pledging that I will be the governor of all. I will maintain an open door policy to everyone, regardless of party affiliation.
Into more political stories, the Special Assistant on Public Communication to Mr. Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Frank Shaibu, has attributed, this is the revelations over the failure of his organs at the Thanksgiving ceremony on Sunday by the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, after suspected poisoning in 2018, to what Mr. Shaibu calls likely alcohol poisoning and not food poisoning. In a statement, the SA to Mr. Abubakar says, quote, "I'm not a medical doctor, but it is general knowledge that excessive alcohol consumption leads to high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, liver disease, digestive problems, and others." He further advised the former governor to reduce his consumption of alcohol. He also spoke about Governor Makinde, whom he advised to focus on delivering the dividends of democracy to the people, referring to him as the only G5 member who currently holds political office. Elsewhere, across River State, Governor Senator Bassey Otu has ordered the immediate ban of all commercial motorcycles within the Calabar metropolis. This was made known in a press release. They explained that the ban was following the outcome of due consultations with key security chiefs in the state. And finally, the governor of Kano State has approved the reinstatement of Muhuyi Magaji as chairman, the Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. This is to complete his tenure. It was disclosed by the Chief Press Secretary to the state. And you've been served lunch this hour. Many thanks for watching. I'm Minister Walker. Bye for now.